All right, hey everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about just a channel update. And if you saw my last video, I talked about getting an opportunity to go overseas and accepting the opportunity to move overseas. And I actually had to put that video on private because the opportunity that I was talking about in that video kind of blew up in my face in 15 days because I checked the video before I put it on private and I posted it 15 days ago. So long story short, I've been talking about, it's just been a very tumultuous year in my personal life and in my professional life as well. And I was not doing good trying to find a job in the US job market, which is still not. I feel like it's getting worse the more time goes on, but that's a different story. So I looked overseas for opportunities and I applied to a Master's of Science program at a foreign university. And this university actually accepted my profile and gave me a scholarship. The scholarship was the highest amount of funds that were available to be given to someone based on merit, academic merit. So, what happened was I thought that was an amazing opportunity and I accepted the offer. And I had given this university everything that I have done academically and professionally since I was 18 years old, and I'm 27 now. So they saw all of that up front. They vetted it. They offered me a seat. I guess that's the word for it, a seat or a place in the program. And then they offered me a scholarship on top. So I thought that was an incredible opportunity. I accepted. And I had been doing paperwork back and forth since maybe beginning of June because I accepted the offer in late May. So for the entirety of June, I've been going back and forth doing paperwork, and the scholarship wasn't a full scholarship. It was just partial for a postgraduate program. So I still had to do some loans, and I took out some loans through federal aid, FAFSA, because the school, despite being in a foreign country, was FAFSA eligible. So I applied to FAFSA. I got that approved. I've signed the promissory note, the MPN, Master Promissory Note. Hope I'm pronouncing that right, but promissory. There we go, promissory. And they got all that paperwork done, and I signed on the dotted line for the student loan. And I got a letter from them that said that I was a funded student with a scholarship and a FAFSA loan, and I was supposed to present that to the visa office when I applied for my student visa. And then I thought I was fine. I got the scholarship, I signed the papers, I got the loan letter for the visa office. Now I just need to pay a deposit, and then I'll get the rest of my visa paperwork, and then I'll skip on down the road and just prepare financially. Well, I saw this thing, this requirement on my portal for the university. It said that I needed an academic reference and that my profile was not fully approved because I didn't provide an academic reference. And because I'm 27 and I've been out of school for a while, I mean, I'm not 22 fresh out of college, I don't have an academic reference. And I went to college during the pandemic anyway, so I wasn't up close and personal with professors. I provided a professional reference, and the professional reference was my work with Ukrainian refugees. I done work with you and continue to do work with the Ukrainian refugee organization, and they issued me a professional reference that was a description of my work. That I was a mentor, a cultural mentor, and that I provided emotional support and tutoring and mentoring and all of those supportive roles in the professional setting. And that despite it being a volunteer position, I am doing professional level work through this organization. And They issued that. They had it signed by a supervisor. It said the description of my work, how long I've been doing the work, and how many hours I do the work. And it was signed off on. It was verified, professional, the whole bit. So I had submitted that when I applied because I gave the university upfront everything that I've done since since I was 18, including academically and professionally. So they had an entire profile of my volunteer work with refugees, my self-employment, because I did self-employment while I was in college, undergrad. I did Amazon FBA. I have certifications because I did CEUs outside of university for my field of study. So I have special certifications beyond just a bachelor's degree. They had all of that. They also had my 3.88 GPA official transcript. And they gave me a scholarship based on all of that. And also the personal statement that I wrote about my intentions once I got into the program, my intention to integrate into the university system and become a researcher. So they had all that. And I thought, oh, this academic reference thing is just a glitch in the portal because they got my professional reference from the organization and they vetted that and they approved it and they gave me a scholarship. So I just emailed them. I said, hey, I provided a professional reference and it's already been approved by the scholarship committee. Just can you just remove the academic check mark on the portal because it's blocking my ability to move forward with the deposit and the visa paperwork and all of that. I get an email back. They say your reference is insufficient. It does not attest to your ability to study. It doesn't, but it attests to my work ethic and the nature of the work that I've done with this organization, which is professional adult level work. So I didn't understand because the scholarship committee already saw my grades, they saw my GPA, they read my personal statement. Everything that you would need to know about someone's ability to study was in my academic records that I provided to them up front. And so I emailed back and I said, I'm kind of confused. I'm not understanding what you're asking for because the organization's not going to attest to my ability to study. They're attesting to my work ethic and my academic profile shows you I can study. I graduated in the top 10% of my undergrad class. So I emailed them that, and they emailed back a copy and paste email. They copied and pasted the same template twice. They said, "Sorry, your profile is insufficient, and because you haven't had a reference attest to your ability to study, you're not allowed to be enrolled in the school." And I was like confused. I couldn't understand what they were talking about, and I kept asking for clarification on what are you talking about because you gave me a scholarship and it was a merit-based academic scholarship. So if you didn't think I could study, then why did you give me the scholarship? And it was the most prestigious scholarship offered by this university, and there's no higher monetary amount that can be offered, and that's why it was the most elite scholarship at the school. So I didn't understand what they were saying when they said I needed a professor to test my ability to study or a manager at a job. What manager is going to say that you can study good in the real world? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's managers out there that do it, but I thought that my academic profile was enough. I'm not 18, fresh out of high school, so I'm 27, almost 28. So I kept asking and asking, and they kept copy pasting these email templates back that said you're insufficient, not sufficient, blah blah blah. And at this point, I had already signed loan paperwork And as I mentioned before, I'd already received that visa letter that said I was an enrolled student. So I emailed back and I said, you already gave me a letter for visa purposes that says that I am an enrolled student at your university. So why are you blocking my enrollment right now? And I've already signed FAFSA loan paperwork as well. Student loan paperwork, which is legal financial paperwork. I already signed it. And I already got the letter for the visa office where you said specifically that I am enrolled at your university. So why are you blocking me right now? While at the same time asking me to pay a deposit that I can't technically really pay because you're blocking my enrollment over this reference issue. They had no explanation for me whatsoever. I escalated to the highest office at the school and I said, basically, resolve this right now because you're in violation of federal code on the US side because since they accept federal funding from the United States government, there were certain rules that they had to follow in order to process and receive students with those funds. So I said, look, you're in violation of the Department of Education in the United States because this is misrepresentation of my enrollment status because I have these letters that say I'm enrolled. And then I also have this person over here that says my profile is not sufficient and that they don't trust my ability to study. And I said, either you got to fix this right now or it's going to get serious in a legal way because I already signed paperwork for the money. And I got no answer back. They zipped their lips, and I waited maybe 3 or 4 days for an answer. And then in the meantime, while I was waiting for the answer, I did some digging on the university itself, and I had to dig really deep, and I found some more shady stuff. And then that's when I just made the decision. I thought, hey, it doesn't matter how they reply to me, if they reply at all. If I have to pull out federal code, I'm not giving you a dime of money. If I have to show up at the top door in the whole place and say you're in violation of code, then I'm not going to spend money there. I mean, it's like ridiculous. And so they zipped their lips up. They didn't reply. And I found more dirt on them from other students that said they had similar breakdowns in communication. That the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing because the right hand gave me the most prestigious scholarship available, but then the other hand saying that they don't trust that I will succeed in the program. So I backed out. I sent them a letter and I said, "You're going to cancel the loan." Because it was still pretty far out. I wasn't even going to go until next year. But I was getting everything till the spring. I was getting everything together right now because sometimes visas take 3 or 4 months to get through. And I said, you're going to cancel the loan right now on your side if you have to. And I canceled it on my side. And if you don't, I'm going to report you to the federal government in the United States. And they never replied to me. I took care of it on my side and made sure that they don't have access to my financials in the United States anymore. And the loan wasn't in my profile, my federal profile. I checked to see if there was anything pending, anything outstanding, because the actual disbursement wasn't until 2027. So I didn't see anything, but I will call probably maybe 2 weeks or so and make sure that it's 100% closed out on the American side because I never paid them any money. I never paid them a deposit or anything like that. So I just wiped my hands of it and walked away. And I was pretty shocked because if they didn't like my profile, that's fine. If they wanted to insist on this abilities to study, like reference, fine. But you gotta do that before you give someone a scholarship. And you gotta do that before they sign legal paperwork for thousands of dollars. So I myself am 100% through with academia. I think it's a ripoff for most people, especially in the United States. I can't attest to other countries, but I think that it's predatory. And I think that they are like bloated beach whales where they're so bloated with bureaucracy and red tape that it actually locks out people that they actively scout for because they threw the highest award at me possible to be awarded. And then at the same time, the bureaucracy, the low level bureaucrat, blocked me from getting to the people that actually awarded me the merit based scholarship. So whoever gave me that scholarship, I appreciate it. They're never going to see this video, but I appreciate that they saw the value in me because I've spent the past year and a half almost just treading water in the United States job market. And I didn't think my profile had any value. And I didn't think it was worth a damn because I haven't been able to get a job. I've been interviewed. I've took assessments. I've done all the things that you do, tweaking the resume and everything that people say you should try to do online. I've done it. And I never got any callback because I think most of the jobs I've been applying to are ghost jobs. Even though I was applying on company sites for most of them. So I didn't think my profile had any value, so I tried to look beyond the borders of the United States and I stumbled across this university. And when you look at the university on face value, or on the front, and you do a little bit of digging, you get really good reviews. It's like people really have good things to say, but when you dig deeper, there are some nasty stories and some serious accusations and some serious institutional bureaucratic mudslinging, I guess you could say. And I think that the university probably didn't bank on, some of these more serious cases, bubbling to the top recently, because some of them bubbled to the top when I was fighting them about the reference. So when I did my deep dive the first time back in April, I didn't see any of that because it's now hitting the mainstream and social media and all of that all these things have been going on behind the curtain all this time. So I'm glad that if it had to happen like this, it happened right now because I don't want to walk into some dumpster fire where the university is just like imploding in on itself. Like, because there's a lot of other people that are saying that they're having issues with the institution itself. So I'm glad that I didn't spend any money moving across the world to some place where there's institutional chaos. But at the same time, it was a big blow to me personally because I was under the impression that I was sought after, and I think in some ways I was. Someone made the decision to give me the highest award, and they saw the value in what I offered. They saw the value in my personal statement, and they wanted me there. For all intents and purposes, I was one of the people they wanted there the most. And for some reason, I got caught up in this red tape, and it just completely got the rug pulled from out underneath me. And I keep racking my brain, like, what the hell happened here? I told my parents, and I showed them all the emails and the scholarship award, and they just sat there and they're like, "How did they give you a scholarship when they're saying that they don't know if you're going to be a good student?" And I just like, I have no idea. How do you do that? It's like it's clown world shit. I don't even know how to describe it because you're not going to give a scholarship to somebody, an academic, studious scholarship to somebody you don't know can study. And there's only like less than 100 of these scholarships available. So there's a handful of people out of thousands of people that go to this university that got this scholarship, but you don't know if they can study. What are you talking about? So yeah, it's honestly hilarious now that I've kind of come down from the high of having to write them, legal jargon, and I don't want it. It's not going to get that serious, but it was just to protect myself on the U.S. side, to protect my U.S. financials. But I actually gathered up all my receipts, and I'm going to keep that in the back door or in the back pocket just in case. But I think it's over at this point. I canceled the loan on my side because it was so early that it wasn't even in my profile yet. My my federal financial student loan profile. So I just followed the steps to get that taken care of. And I'm just shocked. I don't know how some kind of BS like that can happen. You don't think that you get a scholarship as someone with a 3.88 GPA and all this training and all this work with refugees, and then they just slam the door in your face. They say that you're not good enough to be there. That makes no sense at all. And I did check, and they did misrepresent my enrollment status, which is a really serious thing. And I don't know, it's just shocking. And I thought about perhaps making a separate channel where I just sit in front of a camera and I make it very thorough with all of my emails and the paperwork and just show that up front and explain all of it in a very methodical way with my receipts and the timeline and all of that, because I don't want young people to fall into this trap. I mean, I'm a younger person, but I'm not 18, fresh out of high school, and I don't want the young people to feel like they can't follow their intuition about a place because they've been offered something quote unquote prestigious. Because it's not always prestigious. Sometimes it's predatory, sometimes it's a trap, sometimes it's wrapped up in incompetence, and everything is a transaction these days, especially in academia. I've always approached academia like a transaction. I'm paying for the degree, and I'm the customer, and they vet me based on my abilities, and then once I prove my abilities, they issue the paperwork, the degree that I paid for. It's a business transaction. I supply the grades, they supply the degree. I the degree, and I supply the grades and the money. Especially when you're talking about thousands upon thousands of dollars. Some people I know in my life, they're $250,000 in debt. I was never going to be that high. Even with going overseas, I wouldn't even have cracked $50,000 because of the scholarship. But still, that's still a lot of money. And I told them that. I said, I can't be giving all this money to a place that can't use its feet right foot, left foot. You're going left foot, and you're falling and tripping on your face. So I backed out completely. I said, effective immediately, I'm done. And it was funny because when I went to put in my paperwork to withdraw my application, it said, put in your request to decline. I said, I'm not requesting a decline. I am declining, period. There's no request here. The business contract is done. And I think that young people need to know that they have that power. That these institutions, when you're paying them, they like to act like they're the gatekeeper. But I don't walk into Walmart and then Walmart question me on the TV that I'm trying to buy, saying, "Can you put it on the wall? Can you get it through your front door? Can you turn it on? Do you know how to put the plug in the outlet?" They don't question you when you go into Walmart and you drop thousands of dollars on a TV. It's a transaction. They don't care what you do after that. And I don't think academia at this point is any different. They like to act like they're different, but they're not, because the the degrees aren't worth the paper they're put in on sometimes. And that particular degree that I got accepted into, it did have some pretty prestigious pathways associated with it, and that's why I accepted the offer, because I thought this is one of the few degrees remaining that actually has a path forward, professionally, where I can actually see the trajectory of the degree. You do this, and you get these jobs opened up to you, and then these jobs are actively available. Like, I'm seeing them be available in greater numbers than the market that I'm currently in. So I did the economic audit, and I did all the audits that I could do on my side for the future that degree would give me. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, because I'm not going to spend 2 years of my life playing patty cake with a bureaucracy that doesn't even know what it's doing. So yeah, I think I went on a rant here. My apologies, but I made this video before. I made what do you call it? The recording. There we go. The recording before, and it just wasn't very detailed. And I figured whoever watched that would be confused because I left out a lot of details. And this one's not edited. Like I said, if I do a very thorough video, I will put it on a different channel, like a Spirit account that I have, and be very thorough and make the dialogue tighter and show the screenshots and explain it very thoroughly. But this is just me giving an update for what I had said on my channel a few weeks ago, and why I wanted to come back to my channel and what I was going to work on. I'm still going to work on the mods. I'm still going to work on playthroughs and Elder Scrolls content. I'm actually building a website right now with NeoCities HTML, and I'm going to build a website that's going to be all about modding for Elder Scrolls. And all the resources that I have, I'm going to put all my resources on that website for people to see and have access to. For Elder Scrolls modding, it's going to be Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. For now, could add the other ones later, but for now it's going to be those three. And all the videos that I've made and all the resources I've collected about installing mods, creating mods, and all that. So that's what I'm doing going forward. I have to regroup because I had spent 3 months of my life preparing mentally, financially, emotionally to just completely leave my life behind. And I was actually going to sell most of what I own because the program that I got accepted into was a path to possibly staying in that country long term. And so I had it completely prepared to just not come back to where I am right now. Because everything that I had done to research made that seem sensible. Like, all the research I had done pointed to that outcome. So yeah, I didn't go through with that, but I think it's for the best. I don't know what to do now, but I have to regroup. It didn't put me in the best place mentally because I had thought that I had a path forward, but I've been kind of floundering around for the past year, trying to figure out what to do, doing all these interviews and all this assessments and everything that these corporations want, and even local organizations, and they're all ghosting me, or taking me on a merry-go-round of interviews, and nothing has worked. So I thought that this opportunity would be to solve those problems. But it's the same old rot that I've found everywhere else when it comes to bureaucracy. And I don't know what's going to happen to us Gen Zs, because the path forward for us, I don't know what it is. I know some of us do have steady work, but a lot of us don't. And there's companies out here that are straight up saying they don't want to hire Gen Zs. And I've seen it. I've seen it. Because once they figure out I'm Gen Z, they completely disappear. And they might be all interested before that, and then they just disappear after that. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen with that, but this was my story. I don't want young people to feel like they have to go through with these things when there's red flags flying all over the place. Because for this particular institution, the red flags were waving, and there were a lot of them. And just because the title is prestigious, just because the scholarship is prestigious, it doesn't mean anything if you're walking into a dumpster fire, or that the people giving it to you are being predatory, or they're misleading you, or they're incompetent. And that's a dangerous trap to fall in, because a lot of people fall in it. And I can't tell you how many young people I've met or heard say that they're 18, 19 years old, and their parents, boomer parents, are telling them to go to university or they're going to get kicked out of the house. That's astounding to me that these boomers, asterisk some of them, will kick their children out of the house because they don't want to go to college. Well, I'm here and I'm saying I went to college and I did everything that was asked of me and more. I got the top tier GPA. I did all that. I got the scholarship and it still didn't work. So why would you threaten your children like that? It's very strange to me, because the social contract involving a degree is gone, is shredded. It doesn't guarantee a job. It doesn't guarantee middle class stability. So these boomers out here that are threatening their children for wanting to learn a trade or wanting to learn entrepreneurship instead of going to college, they don't find that acceptable, and I don't understand. But that's a different story. But my point was that for all of that I accomplished academically and professionally, it didn't really amount to anything because the rot in the systems is so severe at this point. The bureaucratic systems. So I'm at the point now where I'm turning to entrepreneurship because there's no other option out there. I mean, I'm still gonna look for work and I'm still gonna try to go that route when I see opportunity, but it's not there. It's not there for a lot of us. And I feel like the jobs, since I started applying to jobs, are actually shrinking. Like, there's at one point where I ran out of jobs to apply to in my local area. I had applied to everything. So that's why I pursued a career shift through postgraduate study in a career that I thought would have more jobs available. But I think that situation with the school jostled me up and said, "Look, don't walk into this trap a second time, because I've got older elders in my ear that are saying the same thing. Go get your master's degree, wear that stole and that hat, and we're going to be so proud of you when you walk across the stage." And it's very hard conditioning to get past because that's how I was raised. And I was always told when I was young that because I studied so hard, that I would be stable and successful. And teachers would point at me and say, "Study like her, or you're going to end up working at McDonald's." Well, the people at McDonald's have a job, and I don't. So that was a total lie. The meritocracy that I was taught about in school is a lie. It's not. It's gone. If it was ever there in the first place, I'm not sure. But that's my point. I might make a more thorough video where I explain all of that, like I said before. Sorry for the rant. I'm kind of going on a tangent. But if anyone comes across this video and listens this far in, I hope that what you take away from this is just be very careful. There are certainly a lot of benefits to degrees depending on what your goals are. I'm not going to say it's all useless, it's not. But you got to be very vigilant these days because a lot of it is predatory. And a lot of it is they'll just say whatever to get your money. Or even when they want your money, they might not even get it together enough to get your money. And it's just, it's a very tricky situation for young people these days. And just be careful. Me personally, despite me pretty much getting into any college that I applied to, I got accepted to 3 colleges this year, 3 different postgraduate programs, and I declined one because it was incompetent. This was back in February. I declined that one because they were incompetent with my student profile. And then this one, they were incompetent as well, on a totally different side of the world. And the third one, I just declined because I had accepted the offer with a scholarship. So I pretty much get into whatever program I apply to, but it's not worth it. You take your intellectual rigor and redirect it somewhere else if you can, because these places don't care about the rigor, they just want the money. And sometimes they're so incompetent they don't even get the money that they want. So yeah, I think I'm running down the wire on my rant, but that's my point. I'm going into entrepreneurship now because I earned that scholarship off of my writing. I wrote a 550-word personal statement that was what got me the scholarship, and I realized that whoever gave me that scholarship saw the value in my writing and my ability to articulate myself with written word. So I thought to myself, that's where I need to put my energy at. The job market's a lock gate anyway. I can't get in. I've tried every which way to get in, digging under the fence, climbing over the fence, trying to break down the fence. None of that has worked. So I'm gonna put all my focus into my entrepreneurship and look for work. I'm gonna not stop looking for work, but there's there's nothing left for me to do. I've tried every straight and narrow path out there, and entrepreneurship is what's left. And I hope it works. I'll keep going on here and doing my Elder Scrolls, doing my mods. I'll showcase the NeoCities website when it's in a stable state. It's not in a viewable state right now. I'm still doing the HTML, so when that's ready, I'll show it. But yeah, good luck out there, guys. Be careful. Don't walk into any traps. Thanks for watching, and see you.